Okay, when you're dealing with, when you're grappling with many different type of people, this is one move that you're going to have to deal with when you're dealing with wrestlers. Because a lot of wrestlers who don't understand submission will try to drive their forearm right into your throat. And granted, yeah, it's painful. It's terrible. So we got to have an answer to that. So I'm starting here, and he's just, because he doesn't know how to pass the guard, he's just putting a lot of pressure on my throat. And if you're not careful, it's going to hurt. You can hurt your trachea. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your hand on the elbow. Got my hand on the elbow. Now I'm going to push it across. I'm going to push it across my body. As I push it across my body, I'm also extending my hips because that's going to off-balance him. Okay? If I keep him up, he's going to put all this weight on me. It may be a little difficult to push him across, so I need to get him off balance and get some of that weight off my neck. So I have my closed guard. I'm going to push his arm across my neck and off balance him. As I off balance him, all his weight's going to fall on top of me, and I'm going to reach up with my opposite arm. Let me go ahead and change my angle. I'm going to reach up with my arm, driving my shoulder into the side of his neck as I pinch his arm into his head. Here. I'm going to get a grip. I'm going to slide that grip up to my bicep and tricep. Put it behind his arm. I can squeeze here and finish, but if I scoop my hip out even more, I'm going to get a much better angle. I'm going to scoop my hip out a little bit more, reclose my guard, and squeeze. Now when I squeeze, I'm going to pull my elbows together, shoulder into his face, head into his arm, and get my squeeze. Now in fast motion, go ahead, drive it in me, chop it up. Now here's an arm triangle from the closed guard, probably one that you've not seen before. This setup is unique, it's different, and it's one that you're going to catch a lot of people off guard with because it is so different. Okay, my initial grips that I'm starting off with, wrist control. One-on-one on both sides. Here's wrist control. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my grip to get a cross grip. This way. So I'm starting here, get a cross grip. This other hand can just control the back of his arm just to keep him from, pulling out or anything like that. So I'm just going to control the back of his arm to have this cross grip. Now, suddenly what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift his hand. As I'm lifting his hand, I'm also going to try to turn it a little bit. So I'm here, working, lift and turn. Then I'm going to figure four my arms. Here. Now, a lot of times from this type of grip, they may be concerned with the arm lock because, yes, you can probably try to arm lock from here. So what'll happen is he'll put his weight, he'll settle his weight down to keep me from moving my hips and going for the arm lock. So what that's going to do is going to make it a lot easier for me to get the arm triangle. So as I'm here, he puts his weight down. I'm going to extend his arm past my ear. All right, extend the arm past the ear. Also, what's going to help me to get his weight to come forward, not only is the momentum of him blocking the arm lock or just settling his weight on top of me, but also my legs pushing him past me. So I have three things that's going to help me to get him in position for the arm triangle. His own weight settling on top of me, my upper body and my arm stretching his arm across my ear, and also my legs are going to pull him through. Now once I get him here, I'm going to lock him down. Don't let him go nowhere. Boom, lock him down. Don't let him go nowhere. Let me turn so you guys can see this lockdown on the opposite side. So once I pull him through, I have him here, pull him through. I'm going to shoot this up nice and deep. Attempt to get my shoulder on the side of his neck. You don't want to just lock here. This is no good. There's too much space. You want to tighten. Keep that tight. And put my arm across the back of his neck. Once it's across the back of his neck, I'm gonna lock. Now I can finish underneath him, but you're gonna get a lot better finish getting your hips out to the side. This creates a really good angle, and you get a lot more leverage off on the side. So once I have this on the back of his neck, I'm gonna slide my hands up, get my hips out to the side, grab my bicep, tricep, keep everything tight, squeeze my elbows in, and squeeze. Now, full speed. Okay, now I'm going to do a guillotine, but now I'm going to have the arm in. He's got his hands on my body. Got to get his hands off or I'll never be able to sit up. He'll keep pushing me back. Make my hands like in cups. Put them on top of his hands. Pull his hands to the floor. Waste no time. I'm going to scoop my hip out just a little bit so I can sit up to here. Now let's say in this situation, I'm going to sit up so deep that I can't, when I sit up and wrap around his head, I don't want to give any space here. And I don't want to give any space to get the grip. I'm going to sit up so deep that I have to reach over top of his arm. So I sit up. I sat all the way up. I wrapped around his head, and he's got his arm here, and I don't want to give any space here because he may pop his head out. So I'm sitting up. I'm going to wrap around the arm and get my grip. Now, let me show you the grip from this position. As if we were down there. I have my hand here underneath the chin. I'm over the arm, and I grab here. You can see inside here. I'd be this way. This part of the form, right underneath, right on the side of the chin, and I'm here. Just like that. So now once I have my grip, I'm here, I'm tight on the back of his neck. I'm not going to fall straight back. In fact, I'm going to try to rock to the side as much as I can. Especially with the arm in guillotine, it's so important that you get off to the side because if you fall back, you're actually going to put yourself in a worse position for him to get out. So you want to fall to the side and get your hip out to the opposite side of his head. This way you can get that rotation and that torque in order to get your squeeze. Because if my hip is flat, I'm not going to be able to do it. Or if my hip is on the same side as his head, I'm not going to be able to do it. I have to have my hip on the other side of his head. So when I fall down, I'm going to fall to my side, to here. Then from here, I'm going to rotate my elbow in and squeeze. So let me show you here. I'm sitting up here, I'm going to fall to my side. I'm going to rotate my elbow down and then squeeze. Again, that rotation, it rotates towards the stomach. My elbow's going to rotate towards the stomach. It's a subtle movement, but you have to really, really try in order to make that rotation. Otherwise, you're going to just be pulling up and you're not going to have any leverage in order to choke. So when I'm here, I'm going to rotate off to my side. I'll rotate down and I'll pull up to finish the choke. Now full speed. Oh my God, I got another twofer for you guys. It's going to start from the first half crucifix here. Alright, he's got his head down. Alright, with his head down, it's going to be hard for me to sit up. So the first thing I got to do with his head down is I got to get his head out of the way. I'm going to move it to the side. His head's on my stomach. If I just try to sit up, he'll just follow me. So I'm going to move his head to the side as I sit up. As I sit up, I'm going to reach around here, around his neck, and underneath his armpit. Deep. Don't come in like this and think you're going to finish. You're going to get as deep as you can. All the way through on the back of his neck and around his underneath the armpit. Now once I get here, I'm going to lock my hands and I'm going to put my elbow on his back here, on the top of his back. I don't really want to do it from here. I want to get some push here. So I'm going to lock my hands, put my elbow on his back. As I'm pushing away on his back, I'm going to pull his shoulder across here as I put pressure with my armpit on the back of his neck. That pressure on the back of his neck is going to try to get his chin to touch his chest. Here, pushing here, pulling, and I'm using that pressure from the back of my arm, underneath my armpit to push his chin into his chest. Now also when I have this position here, let's say I don't want to lock that, I'll come underneath the other one, and I lock this, and I pull both of them, and then I put pressure with my armpit on the back of his head in order to put his chin to his chest. Now when I'm here, I'm going to flare my elbows out. That's going to make it a lot worse than just pulling up. I'm going to pull up and flare my elbows out. Once I flare my elbows out, that's going to extend his body. That's going to stretch his body all the way out. And that's what you want. You want to stretch his body and keep him as spread as you possibly can. So you get here, pull and stretch his arms away as you put pressure on the back of his neck, putting his chin to his chest. Now let's do it in fast motion. Okay, I start here from inside my closed guard. He's got his hands on my chest. In order for me to sit up, I have to get his hands off my chest. The easiest way to get his hands off the chest is just make your hands, just cup your hands, put them on top of his, and pull them to the side. It's going to be very difficult for him to keep his hands on your chest if I do this. So if he has his hands on my chest, come here, pull them off. As soon as I pull them off, before he gets a chance to put his hands back on my chest, I'm going to sit up. So he's got his hands on my chest. I pull him off and I sit up. Now once I sit up, I'm going to wrap around his neck to here. I hip out. Get a grip around his neck. My grip, I'm going to wrap all the way around his neck. Get coverage over the back of his head. And get this part of my hand, of my wrist, underneath the neck. Underneath the throat. I'm going to grip and I'm going to fall to the side. Once I fall to the side, keep my head up to get coverage of his neck, and then I rotate my elbow down. It's kind of difficult to see that rotation, but I'm not pulling back. I'm rotating my elbow down towards his stomach in order to get the finish. It's kind of a subtle movement, but it makes a big difference. And if you don't do it, you're going to find yourself having a hard time finishing your guillotines. So I'm rotating my elbow in towards the stomach, and then I'm pinching up. So from here, I'm rotating down and pinch up to get the finish. So I'm not pulling back. I'm rotating down and pinching up. Not at full speed. Okay, now I'm going to do the guillotine from the closed guard, starting from the closed guard, working with the chicken feed, feeding that arm to my other foot. Okay, starting from the closed guard. First thing I'm going to do, open myself up, push the hand back, scoop my hips out, get my knees on the inside of his bicep, right at the crack of his elbow. Get my shin right here, other foot's on his hip. Now, I'm going to transfer my foot to the inside of his bicep. Once it's on the inside of his bicep, I'm going to kick it back and feed it to my other foot. Once you feed it to the other foot, tight. I can't stress this enough how tight you have to be here. Because if you're loose and relaxed, and down here and just like lazy here, he's just gonna put pressure on the top of your foot. He's gonna get out, and it's gonna be bad. It's not gonna work. So I want to be tight with this position here. Now, once I have this position, I'm gonna go guillotine him. And sometimes, you know, for me, I have longer legs and a shorter torso. So for me, it's kind of hard to just sit up and guillotine. So what I'll do is I'll just scoot my hips back. If you have a longer torso, you may be able to sit up and just go and guillotine. If not, if you're like me with longer legs and a shorter torso, scoot your hips back a little bit. This is going to give you the space to sit up and guillotine. You can finish the guillotine with one arm now because he can't block. Strap the guillotine, cover the back of the neck, and finish the guillotine here. Also, this is a twofer. Ding, 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 ding. This is such for this guy because it's a twofer. I have the position here. Let's say for whatever reason I can't sit up. He's maybe pushing back into me and I can't get the guillotine. Watch this. Throw the leg over the top. Triangle. Got the triangle right here. So this is a very, very important position as far as setting up for submissions, as far as using this chicken feet. Coming here and starting here. First off, you got the guillotine. You know, if you can't sit up, scoot your hips out a little bit. Lock up the guillotine, or the twofer. Lock up the triangle. Now full speed. Ladies and gentlemen, this technique we're working on now is going to be a neck crank from in the guard position. Okay, first things that you want to look for from inside the guard are your distances. So when a person's just kind of laying on top of you, that's a close distance. So now I'm going to start to work on the things that are as close to me as possible. And right now, he's in my guard, and he's close to me here with his head close to my shoulder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first initially maneuver my body and his body, and this is a real subtle, small movement that you won't really be able to see a lot of times with the, you know, if you're not careful. So what you want to do is you want to maneuver your shoulder and his head to put his chin on top of your shoulder. Very important detail, because it's going to really be able to cause that separation in his neck. So I want to put my chin, or his chin, right on top of my shoulder. So when I'm here, I don't want to squeeze here. I want to maneuver my shoulder to put it right underneath his chin as he's laying close to me, just kind of stalling. A lot of guys will do this. They'll just kind of stall on top of you and just want to stay tight and just hug you. So you have to make them little small, subtle movements in order to get what you want. So now what I'm going to do is just a small, subtle movement as he's close here, just kind of maneuver my body and his body, using my head to get his chin right on top of my shoulders. You can see his chin's right on top of my shoulder. Now, once it's here, once it's on top of the shoulder, I'm going to hug him nice and tight, keep him close. Then I'm going to slide my arm up for the lock here, and I'm going to squeeze. When I squeeze, I'm squeezing everything in. My shoulders coming together, my lock, my elbows are coming together, and also the most important detail about this finish is the legs. Pushing him away with the legs. And also pulling his head back. So I'm coming here, the hands on his forehead, pushing him away with the legs. I'm squeezing my shoulders, and I'm going to pull his head back as my forearm drives into the back of his neck. So the lock, this hand's on the forehead. I'm squeezing everything in. This is chopping down on the back of his neck. I'm pushing his head back and pulling him away with my legs. Also, guys, when you get this position, if for some reason you can't really get all those details involved, you also have your blood choke, driving your fist right in the side of his neck here, coming through here. So as I go here, if it's not working, I'm just going to switch my grip, slide the fist right on the side of his neck. As you can see, I'm going to put this right inside his neck, grab my wrist, and drive in. Also, I can slide my fist with my hand all the way across his neck and finish with the trachea choke there. So you have 3 different options, guys. This is a 3-fer. I love giving you guys 3-fers because now you don't have to be navigating through the whole DVD to catch all these techniques. You got 3 moves in 1 clip. All right, now at full speed with the neck crank. Now I'm going to show you guys how to get the rear naked choke from the closed guard, taking it back, using the chicken feed. Okay, starting from your closed guard. Right here, first things first, gotta get your hooks inside. So let's start from here. I'm gonna make my C, push the hand back, get my hips out, get my shin inside. My other foot's on his hip, both feet are on his hips. Got this, my shin on the inside of his elbow. Now I'm gonna put my foot through and kick his arm back and feed it to my other foot. Once again, once I have here, I need to have this tight, my foot tight, so that he can't work with it and try to push my foot down or try to create any type of problems for me. So I want to keep this nice and strong here. Once I have this nice and strong, I want to pass his other arm over the opposite side of my body. So I have this arm tight. He's in a very bad position. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to dig my arm underneath his arm, pass it to the side of my body, all the way to the side of my body. Now once I'm here, I'm going to reach for his shoulder or bicep area. I'm also going to pull him back. I can even pull him back in a little bit to feed it to my other hand. This is why it's called a chicken feed, because I'm doing a lot of feeding with my feet. So I'm pulling this back. Now this foot is going to come right on his leg. Take my foot, put it right on his knee. So now what I'm going to do is I'm pulling him back. I'm going to kick his leg from underneath him and take the back position. Now once you have the back, simply finish with the rear naked choke. Alright, once again, let me go over some of these details again so that you can see from a different angle. Starting from here, put your foot inside and feed it to your other arm. Don't try to just reach for your foot here. Don't reach for your foot. So I'm going to feed it to my foot and hook. Now once I have that, I'm going to dig this, pass his arm to the opposite side. Now here I'm going to grab his shoulder. My foot's going to kick his leg out. This is going to knock his balance. This is going to break his balance. So as I'm breaking his balance, I'm pulling him on top of me. Also using my foot to pull him backwards. Once I pull him over, close the space, and finish with the rear naked choke. Okay, full speed. Oh my goodness, I'm giving you another 3-fer. This is another one. 3 moves, 1 clip, and I'm bringing it to you. I'm going to start here from my closed guard. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to scoop my hips out and get my legs here. I'm going to put this foot on his hip, bring this knee up above his shoulder, right on the side of his neck, take my other foot and touch, I'm going to touch my foot to my knee. Reach up and grab my shin with my hand. I'm going to hold this position. Now from this position, I have 3 options that I can work from. If he reaches back here in order to maybe get my foot off his hip, it's going to raise up and catch him in a reverse triangle. Also from the reverse triangle, once I'm here, I can switch my legs and catch him in a triangle to the opposite side, a normal regular triangle. If you end up in this, if I start off in this position, I'm going to count to 3 seconds. If he doesn't do anything within 3 seconds, I'm going to grab my foot, put it in front of his face, reach behind his neck, grab my toes for the gogoplata. Those are your three options. Reverse triangle, bang. Regular triangle, bang. Gogoplata, bang. All three. Now full speed. Starting from my closed guard, I'm going to go ahead and lock up the triangle. I'm going to do it from almost sort of a spider guard, but it's really from a closed guard, but I'm going to have to open it. But the way I come out is underneath his elbow. So let me turn this way so you guys can get a good look at what I'm doing here. Okay, once he has his arms here, maybe they're locked off a little bit, I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to start to push his arm back. As I'm pushing his arm back, I'm straightening this leg and turning it this way so my leg can come through underneath his bicep, underneath his armpit. So I'm going to scoop my hips out, bring my leg through to where my foot can attach to his hip. Once this happens, I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to keep it coming. Bring my leg all the way out, bring it up behind his neck, and then I can lock the triangle here. Once the triangle's locked, I'm going to bring the arm over and retighten and finish there. Now let me do it from the other side so you guys can get another angle of the leg maneuvering. Alright, I'm going to scoop my hip out, bring my leg underneath his arm. This leg will come up at the same time as this one does, just to keep him tight. If I leave this one down here, he's not going to be very tight. He may be able to posture up. So I'm going to bring both the legs up at the same time. Bring the leg out. Going to come behind his neck as I turn my body. Then I lock the triangle. Get the arm across his face. Get good coverage over the shoulder. You don't want to see the shoulder. You don't want to lock the triangle up where you can see the shoulder. I'm going to get good coverage over the shoulder. Point my toes up, heels out, and squeeze my knees together and finish the triangle. Now at full speed. Okay, here's another triangle. Here's a setup here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a push, pull. I'm going to push and pull simultaneously. So I'm going to push this into his stomach, pull this one up across to my opposite ear. Push, pull. As I do this, I'm going to open my legs and raise my hips to catch him right on his back. Let me turn so you guys can see the positioning. Okay, so I'm going to push. Pull this across to my opposite ear, raise, and catch. I'm going to catch right on his back. Don't just try to bring your legs up and catch it. There's too much space there. He'll get out. So I'm going to raise and bring my hips up as high as I can. And I'm going to catch right on the small of his, right on his back. Once I put it on his back, I'm going to lock him down and keep him tight. Now I'm going to come over the arm, attach to his head, keep his head down, one side of his head down. Put my foot on his hip, pivot, grab my foot, put it over his shoulder, then I relock the triangle here, right next to his ear. Again, no shoulder exposed. Go here and I finish. Now, full speed. Guess what, y'all? I'm gonna hit y'all with another twofer. Twofer on this technique here. First thing thing I want to do is I want to set up for the get my legs in a triangle position. So I'm just going to go ahead and go for a sweep. I'm going to push off to the side here and go for a sweep. When I go for the sweep, he opens his arm up. So now I'm going to come back, bring my leg through and around his neck to here. Now from here, I have the triangle. I can set up, boom, get the triangle. There's your first submission that you can work from here. Now let's say for purposes now that I have it and I'm just having a hard time locking up this triangle. He's just doing a good job of keeping my hip in position. I can't get the triangle. I'm going to sit up to my elbows. Here. Sit up on my elbows. And I'm just going to walk back. Just keep walking back as I'm putting pressure on his neck. Just keep walking back and I'm going to sink him down to the floor. Sink him down into the floor. And all that pressure goes on the back of his neck for the neck crack. Now let's do that at full speed. And guys, that's a twofer because it started off from the triangle. Now full speed. Okay, we're going to do a wrap choke starting from the closed guard position. That's right, it's a wrap choke from the closed guard position. Normally you do a wrap starting from the top, but I'm going to show you how to do it starting from a closed guard. Okay, initially I have wrist control. Here again, always control both wrists because it gives you options because now you can do both sides. And you never know, you can always confuse them on which way you're going. So always start with wrist control on both sides. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take his arm and I'm going to arm drag him through. When I arm drag, don't just drag with your arms. That ain't going to work because he's going to be too strong. If I just try to drag with my arms, I'm going to get to about here. And this is no good because he's just too far. There's nothing I can really do to him from here. So when I drag him across my body, I also pull him with my legs. So I'm going to grab his hand, at both hands, I'm going to let go of one, grab underneath his armpit, drag him across my body, pull him in with my legs, and then get a grip around his neck. Let me spin so you can see the grip around his neck. Drag it across my body, and grip around his neck. Right here. Now once I have this tight, this is essentially a wrap position. Once I have this wrap position, I'm going to start my pressure now because I want to already start to get my arms in a tight position so that when I do finish, I don't have to make too many adjustments. So I want to start my position now. So I'm here. I'm going to start the pressure now. And also what happens when you start the pressure now, he's going to raise up on his toes to try to get rid of some of that pressure. And that's exactly what I want. I want him to raise up because now it's going to make it a lot easier for me to sweep. So I'll start the pressure now, and what happens, he raises up. And you'll feel it too. Once you feel that you got the pressure on, he starts to raise up, you'll feel some of your pressure lose, but that's also going to open up the sweep for you. So I'll start the pressure, and he raises up. Now from here, I need to sweep him over. Now make that sweep as tight as you possibly can, and it won't be that difficult if you get your hips in the right position. So I have the pressure, he raises up. Now what I'm going to do is, as opposed to like trying to sweep him, with some type of gigantic sweep, I want it to stay tight because I want to maintain my tightness that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of move my hips to the side, on the opposite side that I'm sweeping, straighten my leg, and stretch his body out. So I'm not trying to lift him or anything, I'm just moving my hips to the side, straightening my leg, and look at his body. He's got no balance on this side. I'm stretching his whole body. Now I'm going to roll tight, keep him in my tight position, then I'm going to step off to the side. Keeping this nice and tight. Don't lose this grip. If you lose your grip, especially there's a lot of transitioning going on in this, and with so much transitioning, you have to stay tight. So I'm going to maintain this tightness, here, step off to the side, then I'm going to square my base up to stabilize and finish. Square my base, stabilize and finish. Remember, shoulder in the face and pressure everywhere. Pressure from the head, pressure from the chest, pressure from my squeeze. Now full speed.